Farm Week is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, it's a feature story edition of our show. You'll meet the man who's designed two of America's most recognizable tractors, the Ford N Series and the John Deere 4020.
In southern gardening, most people think roses are hard to grow, but we'll have several for you to try.
Our first story is about a simple garden project that's having a big impact on young and old in Lamar County, Mississippi. It's helping teachers get their students interested in all sorts of subjects.
The garden gives them a sense of responsibility. It makes it belong. It's something that belongs to them. It's something that they care for. It's living, it's breathing, and that in itself lends itself to so many other things that they have to deal with.
Good day, everyone. I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Artis Ford. Welcome to Farm Week.
Today it's an all-feature story edition of our show.
Leighton, in our first story, teaching soil and water conservation to the young. Many children grow up having never planted a garden or perhaps realizing that food is grown in the ground and not a store. Trying to combat this lack of knowledge, the Lamar County Soil and Water Conservation District developed what it calls Go Gardens. The Go Gardens have succeeded beyond everyone's expectations, and they can be found everywhere from first grade classrooms to nursing homes.
There you go. Good job. You must help Mom in the garden.
It's simple in design, but the Go Garden is having a big effect on Leslie Barger's kindergartners and first graders. The Oak Grove Primary School teacher admits she knew little about gardening when she received her Go Garden, but now she can't imagine teaching without it.
It is math, it is science, it is social studies. You can talk about what different people grow in different countries, what's native to our area. It's language arts.
When we deliver these things, they are ready for the kids to go garden, so to speak. They are set up with the soils and the containers, the structures themselves, and everything's ready to start.
The Go Garden is the inspiration of the Lamar County, Mississippi Soil and Water Conservation District and its manager, John Monroe. The district wanted to find a way to introduce the county's first graders to conservation principles. Monroe says there's no wrong way to make a Go Garden. The district's consists of a frame about 8 feet tall with a bench at the bottom to hold 3 containers. Net wire is attached to the upper part of the frame for vines and other tall plants to grow on. The students plant their seeds or transplants in the potting soil in the containers. It sounds simple, but Barger says that the Go Garden and the nearby flower beds create an excitement for learning that no picture in a book can match. The students have even eaten the produce they've grown.
Literally in 20 minutes, brought it in, set it down, filled it up, did a presentation, and the kids were planting their plants. And from that, we had 3 fabulous cabbage that we got to cook and eat in the classroom.
More and more that you talk to children today, they really don't know where some of our agriculture comes from. You know, the grocery store, we get a lot of stuff from our grocery store. So this really teaches them where food comes from and teaches them about soil and water and how things grow and how the process works and how we harvest our food. And it teaches them that we must be stewards of our resource so that we can continue to have our food resources, we can continue to have wildlife resources.
Before the Go Garden, Barger had already seen what simply having her students outdoors could accomplish. Since her classroom is on the edge of the campus, she had created an outdoor book nook under some overhanging vines. Being outdoors helped one of her students have more confidence in the classroom.
And we cut a hole and we would go inside there and sit and read, and it gave him that secure feeling of what he was comfortable with at home. And it really opened him up and brought him into the classroom.
Barger uses the Go Garden and the accompanying flower beds in every part of her kindergarten and first grade curriculums. There's recognizing patterns, math, and teaching new vocabulary words. There's also science and social studies as students learn about native plants and how people depend on them. There are animals, frogs, and insects to find, photograph, and identify. Barger says all these items can be learned from books, but her students are energized when it happens in their garden.
We've had a wonderful experience with the caterpillars, to be able to not just look at the life cycle of a butterfly in a book, but to be able to come out here and to pick up the caterpillars and to watch them as they put them right up in front of their eyes, and as they, look and they examine it, all the way to watching the chrysalis, watching them come out, and then releasing them into the garden.
Go gardening is also high-tech. Barger's students take electronic photographs, they post these pictures and blog about the happenings in their garden area on their website. A rabbit sometimes visits the garden area. It's another opportunity for learning and excitement. Other classrooms at Oak Grove Primary School plant what are called shape gardens. These are raised bed gardens fashioned in various geometric shapes.
And that consists of, right now, 4 boxes, each a different geometric shape, that I adopt out to other classrooms. And so they'll keep it for a growing season. They might plant vegetables, they might plant flowers, that's up to them. And they will tend to it for a growing season, and then we will till it up and we will give it to adopt it out to another class.
The effects of the Lamar County Soil and Water Conservation District's Go Garden program are reaching beyond the classroom. Pine Belt Industries, a division of Pine Belt Mental Health Care Resources, is constructing Go Garden stands. This Pine Belt division teaches job skills to its clients with developmental disabilities.
We're trying to take these individuals and teach them social and vocational skills. Teaching them the skills that they need or that's required of them out in the workforce. It steers us away a little bit from things that we're constantly making, and it shows them something new, and therefore they're having to use different types of tools, giving them different instructions.
Pine Belt Industries can also customize the Go Gardens by varying the bench height or placing rollers on the legs.
Give me some. Okay, you assist.
Oh, it gives them a sense of pride, and has something that they can take care of personally. It's just something with working with your hands.
An unforeseen target group for Go Gardens has turned out to be nursing homes and assisted living centers. Once again, the center's residents feel the same sense of ownership experienced by Lamar County first graders. The Oxford Health and Rehabilitation Center of Lumberton, Mississippi, already has a garden out back of the center, but it's inaccessible to residents in wheelchairs or those who can't be allowed outside the building.
For residents who are not able to necessarily get up and do the things that they once were able to do, being able to come out here and garden and water and prune and do everything that goes into gardening, it is going to be a sense of me. Look what I've done.
In this case, the Go Garden's height is adjusted for wheelchairs. It's placed in an enclosed courtyard next to a concrete walkway, so it's accessible to all the residents. These pictures were taken a few weeks after the initial planting. It shows the Oxford Center's residents' gardening skills are still sharp.
We thought it would be just kind of a local school thing, and we've now expanded it to the nursing homes, which I think is probably going to be where it takes off from now on. It's probably the biggest portion of growth that we'll see.
John Monroe says the Lamar County Soil and Water Conservation District is willing to share its Go Garden program and stand design with anyone. It's already attracted a lot of attention from outside Mississippi.
We've had requests for designs from as far away as Minnesota. We've gotten requests from North Carolina, Kentucky, South Carolina, Tennessee. The designs have gone statewide. We know people who are writing grant proposals to put these things in county schools, assisted living facilities, and we're just thankful that it has done as well as it has.
The garden gives them a sense of responsibility. It makes it belong. It's something that belongs to them. It's something that they care for. It's living, it's breathing, and that in itself lends itself to so many other things that they have to deal with, helping with brothers and sisters, helping a friend, taking care of the world in general. You know, the environment is such a focal point right now. And as we talk about conservationism in the garden, they are so eager to make other things better.
Well, you can watch this story on Go Gardens again on our Farm Week website. That's our Facebook page or our YouTube page. We'll also have the contact information on these sites so you can get in touch with John Monroe and you can get copies of the plans. They're not looking to make money off these. They just want to get the word out. The website address is farmweek.msucares.com. Find us on Facebook and give us a click on that like button if you feel so inclined, and we appreciate those of you who have done that already. And Leighton, you know, this story aired originally back in 2009. It's simple in concept but profound, because for the kids, they have not experienced this, and for them to actually see something that they've planted and taken care of and then actually eat it, that is something that they don't get to experience because so many grow up in apartment buildings and such as that. They're urban and they don't have that chance. So Leslie Barger has really just taken this and run with it.
But you also see with these other groups that the many other purposes a garden can serve.
Once again, what great therapy there at that nursing home.
Well, it's time now for the trivia quiz on Farm Week. Poultry, of course, is the #1 agricultural commodity in Mississippi. Forestry is #2. So that brings us to our question today. What crop came in third in production value in Mississippi last year? Was it soybeans, cotton, corn, or catfish? We'll have the answer after today's Southern Gardening Story.
Well, when roses are mentioned, most people think of large hybrid tea roses. In today's Southern Gardening segment, Dr. Gary Bachman says there are several other kinds of roses you can use.
Many home gardeners have heard of hybrid tea roses, but there are other roses that make an impact in the landscape. Today I'm at Mississippi State University's Veterans Memorial Rose Garden, taking a look at the different choices when considering planting roses in the garden. Let's take a look at different sizes. If you have an arbor, planting a climbing rose makes sense. Perhaps one of the most popular and easy to grow climbing roses is Lady Banks rose. This is a vigorous evergreen rose that is covered with beautiful double yellow flowers in the spring. And another great benefit is it's thornless. Another climbing rose that makes a statement is White Dawn. Here it is being trained to grow up the arbor brick support columns. This plant will grow to 10 feet tall. The semi-double flowers are produced from late spring to frost in the fall. If you're looking for a shrub rose with a large presence, you can't go wrong with Carefree Marvel. This shrub rose produces masses of coral pink flower clusters and has a casual spreading habit. Another good choice is the white-flowered Madame Plantier. This is an old rose selection with double flowers and a sweet fragrance. For a smaller choice, try Watermelon Ice. This plant grows to 1.5 feet tall, and the deep pink flowers have a pleasant fruity fragrance. As you can see, when considering roses for your landscape, there's a wide variety from which to choose. I'm horticulturist Gary Bachman for Southern Gardening.
And it's time for the answer to today's trivia quiz on Farm Week. It concerns what was the #3 agricultural commodity in Mississippi last year. Well, the answer, according to Mississippi State University's Extension Service, is soybeans. It posted $860 million in farm production value in 2011. If you include seed sales, cotton came in fourth.
We're going to pause for a break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll have the calendar and one more feature story for you. Meet the gentleman who designed not one, but 2 of America's most famous tractors, and he did it for 2 different companies.
Each year, many Mississippians are seriously injured or killed when farm tractors overturn. One cause of these accidents is improper hitching. If a tractor is hitched at any point above the drawbar, it can flip over backwards. Never hitch a tractor using the bar between the 3-point hitch upper and lower links or at the top link attachment point. The stationary drawbar is the only safe location for tractor hitching. A message from the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Well, let's get back to our last story here in just a few minutes. First, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. Can I Still Make Money Growing Trees is a forestry workshop that will be held Thursday evening, June 28th. The location is the East Mississippi Electric Power Association office on Highway 39 North at Meridian. You'll learn about the timber market outlook and where you can find government cost share assistance. The 2012 North Mississippi Grazing School is Friday, June 29th. Location is Mississippi State University's North Mississippi Research and Extension Center on Highway 145 at Verona. Runs from 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Seating is limited to 80 people, so you need to register as soon as possible. The registration deadline is June 18th. Rotational grazing, electric fencing, financial assistance programs for grazing, animal nutrition, hay, and beef cattle marketing will be covered. We'll have contact information on the Farm Week calendar and Facebook page. Go to our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now check out this week's Farm Week Snapshot.
Our last story today will bring back memories to many. Most people do remember their first car. Many also remember their first tractor. Back in January 2011, the man responsible for the design of 2 of America's iconic tractors passed away at the age of 96. Harold Brock led the design teams that produced the Ford N Series and the John Deere 4020 series. Through his work with Henry Ford, Brock got to know some of this nation's greatest inventors, including Thomas Edison and George Washington Carver. Market to Market's Chris Gorley produced this story.
Mr. Ford had an insatiable desire to get rid of animals, and in 1939 there were still 19 million animals being used on farms, and he said, well, we need a utility tractor that will replace the horse, do more things than just cultivate. When he gave me the assignment, he said, well, if you can design and we can produce a tractor that won't sell for any more than a team of animals, the harness, and the 10 acres of land it takes to feed the animals, that would be good for the farmer because he could use then the 10 acres to raise food for himself, for other people. So that was a challenge, and that price was $585.
Though Harold Brock never earned high school or college degrees, he is credited with designing what many consider 2 of the most important tractors in the history of agriculture, the Ford 9N series and the John Deere 4020. Brock began his career at Ford as a student at the Henry Ford Technical School in Dearborn, Michigan. There he learned about electrical engineering, pattern making, and chemistry, invaluable skills needed in the production of a car.
They said, what do you want to be? And I said, oh, I want to be an engineer. And I was fortunate because then they assigned me to Mr. Ford as my apprentice foreman at 15. I served at Mr. Ford's knee as an apprentice to him, plus his handful of skilled technicians.
Because he was Henry Ford's apprentice, Brock met some of the 20th century's most important inventors and visionary thinkers, including Thomas Edison and George Washington Carver.
Carver was having us eat soup and bread and that made out of soybeans, and also Carver was wanting Mr. Ford to be on a green fiber diet, and he'd go out and pick up plant life and bring in, we'd have grass sandwiches for lunch, and he said, there's no such thing as a weed, it's just a plant in the wrong place. And so Carver was an excellent person to work with.
In addition to mechanical and metallurgical research, thought and study in the field of chemistry have for years been devoted to the development of new uses for farm products. Until today, the American farmer helps to build motor cars, just as the motor car manufacturer helps to make farming more efficient and convenient. They help each other, and that helps the country. One of the most interesting of these harvests, because it shows the trend, is soybeans. For every million cars produced, 600,000 bushels are used annually for the manufacture of enamels and for plastics, electrical parts, and similar parts.
Known best as the inventor of the modern assembly line, Henry Ford was also a pioneer in the development of soybeans and soy foods. The suit he's wearing in this picture, taken in 1941, is a blend of 25% soybean fibers and 75% wool. It was Ford's intention that he would someday grow rather than mine an automobile. So when Ford put Brock in charge of tractor engineering at the age of 25, one of his tasks was to replace the tractor's metal seat with something more organic.
Because the little steel seat on the little Ford tractor was, that thing was designed maybe 150 years ago, and it cost 38 cents to produce, and Mr. Ford said to me, well, why don't you make it out of soybeans? It'll be more comfortable in the winter and summer for heat and cold. And of course, you never said you wouldn't do it, so I did it. And he asked me, well, how much does it cost? And I'd have to say $2.50. And he said, well, we'll keep working on to try to get the cost down. Well, then I had to tell him that the rodents were eating the seat right out from underneath the farmers because they like soybeans. So that killed that.
Other endeavors, however, were successful. In 1938, as head of tractor engineering, Brock was put in charge of the development of the Ford 9N tractor. The tractor was a collaboration between Henry Ford and Harry Ferguson. It was a deal sealed with a handshake, with Brock caught in the middle.
Of course, then I had to tell them that I was following their advice because they never got together as a group. So I had a little problem with, pleasing them all that I was following their advice.
The tractor incorporated the Ferguson hitch, an innovation designed to prevent the tractor from flipping over and killing the operator if the plow got hung up on a rock. Brock managed to have the tractor in production in just 6 months. When the U.S. entered World War II, instead of designing tractors, Brock found himself designing Sherman tanks and Ford Jeeps. However, once the fighting ended, Brock began working on the iconic Ford 8N, an all-purpose tractor that would be widely used on farms and construction sites. Between 1947 and 1952, Ford sold over 500,000 8Ns.
There's a big pent-up demand for farm equipment after the war, and so that little tractor, the 8N red and gray tractor, we produced 100,000 a year, which was 25% of the total tractor market with one tractor.
Brock left Ford to work for John Deere in 1959. A disagreement over a poorly designed transmission that was failing stress tests was the cause of his departure.
And I was holding it up, wouldn't approve it. And finally, they came to me and said, we want to put it in production. And I said, well, you better get yourself a new chief engineer. And they did. They fired me and all my test people. So when I went to Deere and new generation tractors, they said, well, Ford's going to come out with a power shift transmission. We won't have one on our tractor. And I said, well, don't worry about it. It won't work. And so I said, we'll design a power shift transmission that really works.
Brock became Deere's first worldwide director of engineering. And while he was in charge, Deere overtook International Harvester as the industry leader. While working for Deere, he helped found the Hawkeye Institute of Technical Learning, borrowing $500 to help start the college in Waterloo, Iowa. In 2008, a new student center was built and named in his honor. And in 2010, the man who never earned a degree received an honorary Doctor of Science degree from Iowa State University for his contributions both to agriculture and education.
I think you need education. You know, I'm all for education, because you would never have the opportunities that I had.
Harold Brock passed away in early January of 2011 at the age of 96. While the man is gone, his contributions to agriculture will be with us for quite some time.
I'm just happy to give credit to all of my people in both the ag and automotive group that helped me accomplish what I accomplished. So it didn't come by me only.
If you're interested in watching this story again on Harold Brock, go to our website, farmweek.msucares.com. You can also go to our Facebook and YouTube pages, and we'll also have links to the Market to Market website where you can see the story as well as read the script. Again, that's farmweek.msucares.com.
What a life. We are at the end of Farm Week for this week. On our next show, we'll have a Farm Week flashback.
Lee Washington's cotton picker art. Washington builds his unique sculpture out of worn-out cotton picker spindles. He's branched out in other yard art as well.
In southern gardening, every yard has an area that's not quite as pretty as you would like. See how one man took an eyesore and turned it into eye candy. For the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Artist Ford.
And I'm Leighton Spann. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.